NXT starts off with a women's tag team match between Tatum Paxley, Lizzie Rain versus Nikita Lyons and Zarya. This was a really good match. This was a really good way to start off the show. I really enjoyed this match. Towards the end of the match, you end up getting a moment where Nikita Lyons was trying to go for the tag for Zarya. Zarya ends up stepping away from the ring, hopping off the ring, sabotaging Nikita Lyons. This allowed Tatum Paxley, Lizzie Rain to end up picking up the victory. After the match, though, we end up getting a segment between Lizzie Rain and Tatum Paxley. They end up having a segment where Tatum Paxley is mentioning how she wants to be a fighting champion, how she wants to get back to giving people opportunities, and she ends up giving the opportunity to Lizzie Rain next week. So next week, we're going to get Lizzie Rain versus Tatum Paxley Women's North American Championship match, which I am actually excited for because that match should be an absolute banger. Also, there could be some shenanigans because they're clearly building up Lizzie Rain. They're building up Tatum Paxley, of course. We could potentially see Zarya interfere in that match because Zarya didn't even want to be put in a tag team match because she was already frustrated that she was in the match to begin with. She really wants to do her own thing, be by herself, go after gold. So I can see a world where she does interfere. I hope that's not the case. I'm hoping Tatum Paxley, Lizzie have a great match. After the match, though, Zarya attacks Tatum Paxley. Then we can finally start telling the story. Zarya going after singles gold, go after that Women's North American Championship. And then we can start with that feud between Zarya and Tatum Paxley because I think that's the route they should be going. And I think the route they're going to go. I just think they're just going to slow build it. But nonetheless, this was a really good match. Really loved how they started off the show. Nikita Lyons looked really good. Lizzie Rain, she's growing on me a lot. She is growing on me a lot. I wasn't sure about her gimmick. Her gimmick is growing on me. It's growing on me, babe. I'm loving what I'm seeing in ring, so can't wait to see how that match plays out. But overall, this is a great way to start the show. Afterwards, we end up getting the in-ring debut of Naraku. I don't know if they're changing his name. It's very confusing because last week on NXT, they called him Naraku. Now they're calling him Naraku, so I don't know which one they're going to call him. But he ends up facing a jobber, basically. This was a fine match. It was whatever. It wasn't bad by any means, but it was just whatever. It was a swash match, nothing to really take note of. Now, typically with other swash matches that I cover with new NXT talent like Callie Armstrong, Stephanie Valkyrie, when they had swash matches, their matches was actually interesting. This one, I don't know what to really say because this one wasn't really interesting, so I don't know what to really take from it. Nothing Naraku did was bad, but nothing he did was great either. Plus, he is from New Japan, and based off the wrestlers I have seen from New Japan, I typically don't like that style of wrestling. There's only a few like male New Japan. Yeah, there's only a few New Japan wrestlers that I really like. The only ones I really like is really Konosuke Takeshita. Any other one that is from New Japan that wrestle there, I typically do not like it for whatever reason. So maybe I just don't like New Japan style. But we'll see how this plays out. I don't know if he's going to be immediately pushed in the main event scene. It looks that way, but at the same time, it doesn't because he was first confronting Tony D'Angelo, but it looks like Tony D'Angelo got his hands full with Cam Hendricks, Mason Rook. So maybe they're going to slowly build Naraku, which I do think should be the better play for him. Have him have a feud or two with some people, build him up, become a number one contender, and then go after Tony D. Because I do want to see Tony D face some other talent before he faces Naraku. So we'll see how this plays out. I'm going to give it a chance. Naraku isn't the typical wrestler that I typically go for or the typically that I like, but I'm going to let this play out. I got to really judge it because I don't know how to feel about Naraku because, like, I like it on one hand. It's add more talent to the men's NXT division. Something different that we don't have in the NXT men's division. There's no one like Naraku, so that is very interesting. But at the same time, he's not the typical wrestler that I really like, and I could really see him either winning me over, but I can also see a world where I just don't like him at all. So I'll let it play out, but I do hope they do like a slow build with him, but hopefully they don't just skyrocket him to the main event scene. But we'll see how this eventually unfolds. But I still have interest in this Naraku character. We end up getting a six-man tag match between Birthright versus EK Prosper, Sean Legacy, and Tate Wilder. This was also a banger match. This was a great six-man tag match, man. These guys in the ring are just amazing. Towards the end of the match, though, we end up getting Tate Wilder. He's in the ring, and he's constantly avoiding to make the tag. He's in the ring. He's having momentum, but he constantly avoids to make the tag to Sean Legacy, and he avoids to make the tag to EK Prosper. EK and Sean are frustrated. They want him to make the tag, but he refuses. He tries to go for a moonsault that ended up costing the match, and Birthright picked up the victory. I don't know where this story is going. I don't know if they're telling a heel turn with Tate Wilder. I don't know if they're telling a story where he's going to be this overconfident, arrogant heel. Don't really know. Yeah, this story kind of took a step back for me a bit because I like what they're going with this. I just don't know where they're going because, again, Now Tate Wilder's in the mix, but I don't know what they're really going to tell the story with Tate Wilder. Is he going to be like this over arrogant, cocky person, or is he just going to make up for it the next time they face it? Overall, this was a banger match. This was a great match. Still interested in the story, even though I know this is one of those filler stories that don't really matter, especially because it's for the Speed Championship. Plus, they're dealing with Birthright. But this is one of the few things that I actually look forward to. Not because of Birthright, it's more so EK Prosper and Sean Legacy. Because those two guys can go in the ring, and I think if booked properly, they could be one of the pillars of NXT in the future if booked properly. So I love those two guys. But we'll see where this story eventually unfolds. But I'm just a bit confused on where we're going next and why they went this direction. I get they wanted maybe Birthright to pick up a victory, but I'm still a bit confused on why they had Tate Wilder do what he did, especially if it's not going to lead to something more. But who knows? Maybe I'm just overthinking it. Now we end up getting Mason Rook. He ends up signing his contract. He ends up cutting a short promo. Basically ends up mentioning that he's not satisfied with his run at NXT so far. He's not satisfied until he starts winning some matches, and he knows he needs to prove himself and take advantage of the opportunity. Tony D'Angelo comes out. He basically ends up saying that he understands why Mason Rook did what he did and that he's not really mad that he attacked him, but he ends up saying that he's not going to get the upper hand on him, and that he knows that whenever they do eventually have a match, that he's not going to beat him. Then you end up getting Cam Hendricks. He comes out, attacks Tony D. They're brawling. Security comes out. Mason Rook hits a moonsault, goes back in the ring, signs his contract. Okay, I like it. I'm not mad at it at all. Some new main event talent. I was judging Mason Rook last week. Now, I know a lot of people was judging him based off his appearance. I wasn't really judging him based off his appearance. I was judging him based off his mic work. Tonight on the show, he could have okay promo. It was fine. Like, it was fine. That's all I really asked for new talent. If you could just say okay promo, I'm fine. Because I already know when it comes to new talent, the promo skills are going to be a work in progress. So I'm not expecting to be amazing, but it's a work in progress, but he cut a fine promo, and I like him. The build is not really a problem for me because some of my favorite wrestlers have an awkward build. Like, two of my favorite wrestlers ever is Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. Like, they don't have a great build at all, but they make up for it in other areas. So, and Mason Rook can easily, I'm not going to say he's going to be similar to Kevin Owens, but the way he moves, I can definitely see that vibe. I kind of get that vibe from him, from the way he moves, being like that bigger guy that can still do some agility, go off the top rope, like where he's not very slow. He's still somewhat quick for his size. I do like that. So very interested to see how he is in the ring. I haven't watched him in the ring. I heard that he's really good though. That's what I have heard. So I'm actually excited for this Mason Rook character. Very excited to see whenever they do have it. Well, actually, they do have a match next week. The match is confirmed. It's going to be Mason Rook, Cam Hendricks versus Tony D and Miles Bourne. So that should be very interesting. We finally get to see him debut. So I'm actually very interested to see how that match unfolds. I can see a world where the heels win, but I think the baby faces are going to pick up the victory. Well, never mind. The match is going to cause interference now I think about it, because there was a segment where Tavion was mad that Miles Bourne is in a tag match with Tony D because he thought he was going to be in place of Tony D. So, yeah, now that I see it, Tavion Heights is probably going to interfere in the match, cost Miles Bourne a match, because they are telling a heel turn with Tavion, so I can easily see him costing Miles Bourne and Tony D the match. Mason Rook and Cam Hendricks picked the victor. So I'm very excited to see how this unfolds next week. Afterwards, we end up getting a singles match between Jackson Drake and Noam Dar. I'm not going to really speak about this match. This was another really banger match. NXT was just putting on great match after great match. This was a match that ended up getting set up last week. Jackson Drake won due to the help of Myra Lockwood, which, okay, they're starting to do the thing that I'm not liking. Now, look, I understand maybe they didn't want Noam Dar to lose cleanly here, but my issue is that why not? It's Noam Dar. Noam Dar recently made his return. My issue is that I don't think Jackson Drake needed help against Noam Dar. I just feel like, because Noam Dar is a talented wrestler. He really is phenomenal, but from NXT standards, he's not like a credible threat or like a guy that you need to cheat to beat against, especially because I don't see him being a main event guy, and I don't see him being in the top mid card either, because based on previous history, they typically don't book him in that way. Now, I know he has some injury issues. That's why he was off TV for a bit, but like, he typically has never been booked in like in a way that makes you want to take him seriously. Now, he's a babyface now, which is very weird for me because ever since I started watching NXT, he's always been a heel, so it is a bit weird seeing him as a babyface, but we'll see where this goes. I like the pairing with the Vanity Project and stuff with Myra Lockwood. I don't know. I'm just overthinking it. I just didn't like the finish of the match. After the match, though, we end up getting Dark State. They confront Vanity Project, talk about the NXT tag titles, and the match is confirmed for next week for the NXT tag team titles. But Dark State ended, Osiris and Cutler ended up saying that it's going to be Dion and Saquon in the place of them two. So they're going to be the ones in the match, which is very interesting because Osiris ended up mentioning that he says that something needs to change and that you guys need to work things out, and that if this doesn't change quickly, well, if they don't win the tag titles, then something is going to change very quickly. So I'm assuming that's alluding to kicking someone out the group. We'll see who that member is getting kicked out because I don't see Dark State winning at all. I think the team that's going to beat Vanity Project will be OTM. Plus, this is a heel and heel dynamic, so it makes no sense to do a title change here, in my opinion. Plus, Vanity Project hasn't really defended those titles, which I'm kind of upset by because I like Vanity Project. I kind of wish they would have gone on like a real run because they're great in ring. They're fucking amazing as talents, character work, and in ring. I wish they could just put on banger matches with some story. NXT has this weird inconsistency when it comes to the NXT tag team. One moment for 1 month they'll push it, then the next moment they just forget about it. So we'll see eventually how this all unfolds, but I'm assuming we're officially going to get the turn or kicking out a member next week of Dark State between Dion or Saquon. In the main event, we end up getting a women's singles match between Kalani Jordan and Kendall Gray. This ended up getting set up due to last week, due to them both confronting Lola Vice, wanting a shot at the NXT Championship, but they both ended up stating their case due to, Kendall Gray mentioning how she shouldn't have lost at Stand and Deliver. Kalani, as I mentioned, she was the last one to tap out Lola Vice. This ends up becoming a thing. This was a really great match. This was a great match. Towards the end of the match, you end up getting Lola Vice and Izzy Dane brawling on the outside. Then it led to going into the entrance ramp onto the outside, onto ringside. They end up accidentally attacking Ren Sinclair, who is injured. Kendall Gray gets distracted. This allowed Kalani Jordan to end up taking advantage, picks the victory. Now, one thing I will say is that I don't like what they're doing so far with this, only because it looks like they're going to try to mix Kendall Gray and inside the Izzy Dang Lola Vice story, which I'm hoping they don't do, because don't do that. Just have Lola and Izzy have their feud, then intertwine them. Do not intertwine them now. I do not want to see a triple threat. Not right now, at least. Have Izzy, Lola have their one singular feud, make that separate, and then you could have Kendall eventually intertwine with that. Now, one thing they are doing with Kendall Gray, which is something I've been asking for a while, is character work and character development. We're finally getting some character work from her, and she's finally showing a personality, which I am enjoying. So very interested to see how that plays out. So they're finally giving me something to look forward to when it comes to Kendall Gray, which I am actually enjoying. So that's really good. Now, Kalani Jordan picked up the victory, which was which was amazing. Like that she picked up the victory. I would love for Kalani to win the NXT Women's Championship. I really do. I know she's not winning. I know she's not, but I would love it if she did. I would also love if Lola Vice had a longer reign as well. But I'm very interested to see what they do with Kalani Jordan, Kendall Gray, with all of them being in the NXT Women's title. But Kalani Jordan is so fucking good. She is so fucking good, so underrated, so underappreciated, man. She is so amazing, bro. She is a star, bro. She is a future star. I am loving this heel character because, man, it is so crazy how much I like Kalani Jordan. Because, bro, again, I used to not like this woman at all. I used to not like her at all because I just thought she was very boring and bland. But ever since this heel turn, she has got me hooked, bro. I am loving what they're doing with Kalani Jordan, man. I can't wait to see what they do next, where I hope eventually one day maybe she wins another NXT championship. But due to the current talent, it's not a bad thing that she's not winning NXT Gold right now. But her real character has been nothing but amazing, man. She is an absolute star. Kendall Gray was also really amazing in this match. Kendall Gray, I'm liking what they're doing with her character-wise, but she is giving me So Ruka vibes in the sense of she's going to be a wrestler that I can already see where I like her, but there's going to be other wrestlers that I prefer over her, to the point where anytime she's in a match or in a title situation, I'm going to want her to lose, which is going to be very unfortunate because that's kind of how I was with So Ruka to a degree, so I feel like that's going to be the case because all the women that I kind of want to win the NXT championship right now, I kind of like, because I'd rather Izzy Dang, Lola Vice, Kalani Jordan, Callie Armstrong. So it's going to be a bad. So I don't want to make it seem like I hate Kendall Gray because I'm growing to like her. It's just unfortunate that she's just the one I'm just the least interested in. But so far, I am very interested to see what they're doing with her character so far. Overall show, I thought was decent. Now, I do think it was a step back from last week. The storytelling was a bit dull in this week episode was very one-dimensional. The in-ring wrestling was the thing that was really carrying the show this week, so hopefully they pick it up next week with the storytelling. But overall show, I thought was decent. But you guys let me know your overall thoughts and opinions down below. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, make sure to hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of my content. But yeah, that's it.